What's good, y'all? It's Sheridan. I know it's been a while. My life's been a little crazy lately. My fiance and I, we had our baby finally. He's been here for about 2 months now. It's been beautiful. I love being a father. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it for sure. But it's definitely time to get back to doing the things that I love. And one of those things is making these videos, sharing my opinions. So, I feel like today being the day that the NBA returns, no better day to do it. So I wanted to get my predictions in for the season. I think in my next video, I'm going to get some predictions in for just like each game this week. And I might make that a series where at the beginning of each week, I just predict all the games for the week and see how many I get. It would be pretty fun to keep track of that, I think. Let's see if I can stay consistent on that. I think it'll be tough, but I'm going to try it. But before we get into it, I just want to start off. This is the website that I used to kind of start making my predictions, at least just for the standings. I know they do like obviously it's called playoff predictions. They do playoff predictions too. I just did that myself because it was pretty easy. But I'm sure I could do something that would be easy to keep track of on this website. It's whatever. I think it's a nice site, but I'm not endorsing it for any reason. I'm just saying it's cool to use sometimes if you guys want to check it out. All right, let's get right into it. Here's the East standings. I think that the East is going to be pretty wild this year in the sense that I think it's going to be really top heavy. I think you're going to have the teams that are really good, like the Knicks and the Cavs, that I think maybe they might not get 60 wins each. I think that's kind of, maybe overshooting, but I don't know, dude. I think the Nets are going to be so bad down here. The Wizards are going to be terrible. But I think, I like some of the young guys on the Wizards. They're just not there yet. The Pacers, they're just in that off year. The Raptors, again, they're just I don't know what they're doing, really. I don't know what their plan is. But they're definitely not a team that's competing this year. I think the Bulls are going to be weird. I really like Matas Buzelis. And I think Josh Giddey is going to have a huge breakout year for sure. But I just don't think that they have the pieces to put it all together. And I think it's unfortunate because I think they would love to tank. I think they'd love to really, go all the way down. But they're just not going to be that bad, but they're just not going to be that good either. And I think they're going to be right on the cusp of making the play-in, but not quite. And they even could. I think I could see them flip-flopped with the Hornets for sure. But I don't know. I kind of like the roster they have. I like their picks that they made. I like the offseason moves that they made. What's his name? Kneppel, or I'm not sure how to say his name, but I think he's good. But we'll see. We'll see. I think that could flop. And, obviously, as you can see, Celtics, Hornets, I think that could flop too. I think it really just depends on if Tatum comes back. And if he comes back late season, I could see them closer up towards where I have the Heat at. I think the Heat are going to be in a weird year where I like this Jakusionis. I'm not sure how to say his name either. I think he's pretty good, but I'm not crazy about him. But I think any Spo coach team, they're going to have a chance. I probably have them at their floor. I don't think they're going to be much worse than this. I could even see them up a little higher, especially if a team like the Sixers has more injuries and Embiid doesn't play a lot, Paul George doesn't play a lot, they have rookies that don't play, something like that. Maybe I could see them up in the 7 range, even maybe the 6 range, but it's tough for me to see. I just don't think that they have the personnel. Even with Norm Powell, I just don't know that they have the scoring. I think their defense is going to be good as always, but again, I just don't think they have the firepower to get it done offensively. Sixers, again, it's really hard to predict where they're going to be at. I think they could be anywhere up to the 4 or even the 3. I think they could be as low as into the 10 or 12s. I just think it depends where they're growing offensively. So I kind of went somewhere in the middle here. I'm going to predict that Embiid plays a lot, at least in terms of games that he's in. I think he gets a lot of time in. I think he gets anywhere from 55 to 60 games down this season, and I think that's enough to get 47 wins, honestly. I just think, he's that good. And I really like VJ. I really like Maxey. He's just looking really great. I think Paul George is going to have a better season. I like where they're at. It's just hard to predict with injuries and Embiid being so weird. Moving on, the Bucks. Another team I think kind of hard to predict with their movements. I like Miles Turner. I mean, I think they have a really formidable front court. I just don't really know about their depth or their backcourt or their shooting. A team that they really used to have great shooting. I just don't know that they're going to anymore. And I don't know, like I could see them being a little higher, but not much. I kind of have them towards their ceiling just because I think that they're going to pan out and their guys are going to play. I think Giannis is so good. I think it's hard to not get 45 wins when you have Giannis on your team. And I think Miles Turner, is good enough compliment to get him another 2. Moving on, we have the Hawks. I love the moves they made. I mean, I think this is the upper echelon we're moving into right here. The Hawks made great moves. I've kind of always been a Trae Young believer. I'm a big Jalen Johnson guy. I just traded for him in my fantasy league. I think Jalen Johnson is just brilliant. I think he's a brilliant player. And yeah, I think Risa Shea could take a decent leap this year. I mean, I'm not too crazy about him, but I think he could end up pretty decent. I think Okongwu is a great candidate for 6th man of the year. I just think they have the depth. I like Quinn Snyder as a coach. I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I think he might be a coach of the year candidate. And then moving on, the Pistons. I mean, I'm just so high on Cade Cunningham. I don't really know what else to say. I'm pretty high on Duren or however you say it. I think he's great too, but I think Cade Cunningham is just going to carry them to that 4 seed. I think he's so good. And I just don't think the East is that strong this year. I have a lot of these teams with a lot of wins because they're farming them off of these other lower tier East teams. Moving on, we have the Magic. Had them, I think, 2 or 3 last year. I was really high on them. They ended up not very healthy. But I think this year they're going to be healthy. This year they're going to be really, really good. I could see them even flipped with the Cavs here. But I think regular season Cavs are just really, really strong. And yeah, I think that's the East. Really, if I had to put it into tiers, it's the Knicks and the Cavs, the Magic kind of in their own A tier. I think Knicks and Cavs are the S tier. Magic in kind of an A tier. The Pistons, the Hawks, the Bucks, maybe in a B tier. Sixers, Heat, Celtics, maybe put them. I guess I guess I'll have to throw the Hornets in there too, into a C tier, and then Bulls, Raptors, Pacers, D tier. I think F tier. Wizards, Nets, F tier for the East for sure. All right, let's move on to the West here. Let's talk about it. The Nuggets, I love the offseason moves they made. Cam Johnson, I think he just has a mind for the game. He's a perfect Jokic complementary type player. I heard someone say he's the Christian Brown of Michael Porter Jr.'s, and I think that's a really accurate description of who he is and what he will mean to the team. I just think high IQ guys are the type of guys to put around Jokic, and him being a shooter, I think there's no limit to the types of things that they can unlock. And then I think Big Val being able to back them up and be able to run kind of a Jokic-like offense through him on the second unit, whether they have Jamal running that, Jalen Pickett, Bruce Brown, whoever is running that second unit, I think that they have a strong chance to be much better than any Jokic-era second unit that we've ever seen. Thunder, again, I think this is one that could flip-flop. They could easily be the 1 seed. I think probably most people would have them as the 1 seed this year, still defending champs. They're so good. They're so deep. Shea is very good. He's going to get all the calls. He knows how to get them. I don't know what that is. I wish we had less foul calls in the NBA in general, or at least more fair ones, but that's another conversation. They're going to be a great regular season team. They're going to be a great playoff team. They're going to be the team to beat for sure. But I just think the Nuggets are so deep and so good, and they have truly the best player in the world, and I think we'll be able to slightly overcome them. Moving on, we have the Clippers. I think a lot of people are sleeping on them in the moves they made this year. I think getting Brook Lopez was a huge move for them. I feel like they got bigger. They got deeper in a lot of ways. I think they got I don't know. I just feel like they got strong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not going to be healthy. I think there are a lot of question marks with them, similar to a team like the Sixers. But I just like their roster. I like how they look. We'll see we'll see. But I think they're going to be strong. I think they have the veteran leadership to carry them deep as long as Kawhi stays on the floor. James Harden, he's so good. He really gets looked over. I probably even look over him myself, but they're going to be good, man. They're going to win a lot of games this year, whether it's 58, whether it's 50. They're going to be a top 4 or 5 seed. If they're not, I'll be very, very surprised. I think 3 is probably their ceiling, but they're not going to be any lower than 5. I'll tell you that right now. As long as they're healthy. If they have like a bunch of injuries, that's another story. But I think that's, you could say that about any team. Rockets, they're the team everybody's talking about. They got KD. I just think they're going to struggle a little bit with identity. And if KD can't stay on the floor, which I think sometimes he will struggle with, he's getting older. He's got that kind of build. He's already had injuries in his career. I don't think he's going to miss a bunch of games or anything. I don't think he's going to be some major injury. I just think they're going to be careful with him, and he might be in the 60, 65 game range. And if that's the case, it's going to be tough for them to win a lot more than 55, 56 games. And I think there'll be a great playoff team. And like I said, I think 56 wins as a 4 seed is pretty incredible. I just think that's a testament to how good the West is going to be, especially at the top end. We'll see. They could be even better. I could see them being a little worse. I think it just depends how much KD is on the floor, honestly. If KD's on the floor 75 games, they're going to win more. They'll be maybe above the Clippers. They'll maybe be that 3 seed. I could even see them sneaking into the 2. I think it'll be tough. I think it'll be tough for them to get that high, but we'll see. Spurs, I'm super, super high on. I just think Wemby's that good. I love De'Aaron Fox as well. I think, what's his name? Dylan Harper. I got him in fantasy this year. I think he's going to be awesome. I don't know. I just think those Spurs teams work out. I think Wemby, it just feels like he's chosen. It just feels right. It just feels like he's going to be the guy. And I think, this year is going to be the year where everyone's like, whoa, and they're going to be making noise in the playoffs and things like that, but they're not there yet. And then I think after this year, they're going to be the team to be worried about. I think everybody's going to be watch out for the Spurs after this year. But I think this year is going to be they're coming out. Wolves, I think they'll have, a good regular season. As you can see, they're 1 game away from the Spurs here. They could be the 5 seed very easily. I think they're just a playoff team. Regular season, I think they might coast a little bit. Randall is Randall. He's weird. But I think at the end of the day, they'll lock in and they'll be a very good playoff team. But I think regular season, they'll coast a little bit. The West is tough. I mean, they're playing these teams. All these teams are very tough. I think all these top 10 teams, honestly, are going to be formidable teams to play. Moving on, we have the Lakers. I'm just not a big fan of their moves. I don't think DeAndre Ayton is that much better than Jackson Hayes. I think he kind of people have this idea of him because he's been on some good teams led by good players like Chris Paul and Devin Booker, but he was never, he never showed up in those games. I'm a Nuggets fan. I remember watching him just kind of disappear so often. Other than that one series where they called him Jokic's best matchup, which was really early on in Jokic's career, and I think a time when they were just hitting on all cylinders. I just don't think he's that good, but we'll see. Any team with Luka and LeBron is going to be solid and a threat. I just think you look at it from the perspective that LeBron is in his 40s and is probably going to miss quite a few games. It's going to be tough for them to win 50 games. I think 50 games is very tough for a team with a 40-something-year-old leading them. Along with Luka, I'm sure, yes, Luka is the main leader, but, we're talking about LeBron. So they need him to be on the floor, and I think it's going to be tough for him to be on the floor. Moving on, we have the Warriors. I'm just not high on Jimmy as he ages. I think Steph is getting older too. He's not quite as quick. I think he really needs that extra quick step to get open for those threes. I think he's, nearing the end of his prime. I think he's already kind of been near the end of his prime. But I think we're getting to the point where he cannot carry a team. And I think Draymond is, within a few years of being out of the league, the Warriors are pretty much cooked. I could be wrong, but Does anyone think they could come close to, contending for a championship? I don't think so. So, like, could they get up to the 7 seed? Maybe. But there's no way they're jumping into this top 4. And if they were a 5 or 6 seed, I would be like, wow, that was an amazing season. And probably a couple teams had like some injuries or something. Grizzlies, I'm just not a big fan of them losing Desmond Bane. I could be wrong about them. They could be definitely better. I could see them easily being better than the Warriors. I could see them being up there with the Lakers and the high 40s. I think it's just tough to say. Injuries, who knows? I'm just not too high on them. The Pelicans, I actually am really high on. It's just, is Zion going to stay on the floor? I don't know. These 41 wins are mostly Zion being on the floor. And the other 41 losses, I think, are mostly him not being on the floor. If he can stay on the floor, I have the Pelicans much higher. If he's on the floor less, I have them in the dregs down here. But I could see them, if they stayed healthy somehow, I could see them up in the, 4, 5, 6. It's just so unlikely. I think, unfortunately, even if Zion's healthy this year, the Pelicans are probably going to look to move him pretty soon, unfortunately, as someone who lives in the area. Moving on to Phoenix, I just think they totally are going to stink, but I think Devin Booker is so good. Devin Booker is so good. They're going to get 37 wins. They might not get 37. They're going to get at least 35 wins, though. With Devin Booker, even in the West, it doesn't matter. I mean, I got 17 wins in the West, 20 coming in the East. I think that's probably where most of their wins are going to come. We'll see. The Mavs, I just don't think Kyrie's going to come back as soon as he's saying. I don't think they're going to be that good without him. I think the West is going to be so tough. I think AD is not going to stay on the floor. I think Cooper Flagg's going to be great. But I just think the West is going to be too tough for them with injuries and all these other things. Moving on, the Kings, they totally tore apart their team. I mean, I don't know where to start with them. They trade away Hallie for Sabonis, which, could have been a not horrible trade, but now they get rid of the guy that they got rid of Hallie to keep. I don't know how to explain it. They're just the worst franchise in the NBA, probably in NBA history. I don't know what to say about them. They have some guys that'll get them some wins. Zach LaVine, I think he's fine. Though I looked up recently, he has one of the lowest plus minuses of any active player in the NBA, which I think is interesting. Not surprising, but interesting for sure. The Blazers, they're kind of just still young, kind of figuring out what they're trying to do. I could see them being better than the Mavs. I think this whole 12 through 15, honestly, I don't think we could say anyone's quite as bad as the Jazz. The Jazz, I really like Ace Bailey. I like Walker Kessler, but I just don't think they know what they're doing. We're going to say they solely take up that F tier. We'll say the Suns through the Blazers, we'll call them the D tier. Pelicans through the Warriors, we'll call them the C tier. Lakers through the Spurs, we'll call them the B tier. We'll call the Clippers and the Rockets the A tier, and we'll call the Nuggets and the Thunder the S tier of the West, at least in the regular season. Moving on to all-star selections. I kind of made some assumptions on how they're going to do this formatting. I saw that there's 3 teams. I know that there's going to be a world team. I'm just assuming they'll probably do 8 guys from the East and 8 guys from the West. I don't know exactly how they'll do world in terms of will they do 4 guys from the East and 4 guys from the West for the world? I'm not sure. I kind of just did who I thought would be the best choices and who I think will be healthy enough. La-di-da-di-da. So for the East, we have Jalen Brunson. I think he's a shoo-in. I don't think that's controversial at all. Donovan Mitchell, same deal. Jaylen Brown might be slightly controversial. He's not always an all-star, but often is. The Celtics are so good. This year, I don't think it's going to be about the Celtics being good. I think it's going to be about him just having really high usage, taking a lot of the touches Jason would usually get. I just think he's going to be great. I think Jaylen Brown's a really good player. I actually don't love him next to Jason. I think both are great. I just don't think think they really fit together. They kind of are the same type of player and do very similar things. And I just don't know that they fit together. So I think it's going to be interesting to see Jalen kind of be able to just lead an offense. And I think he's going to do well at it. I don't think the Celtics are going to be great, but I think he's going to have great numbers. Paolo, I think that's another one, probably not too controversial. The Magic are going to be really good. He's young. He keeps getting better every year. Number 1 pick. He's awesome. And then at center, Karl-Anthony Towns, I think that's not too controversial. I think that's pretty obvious. I think the only question would be he could be technically world because he's Dominican Republic, but I think he'll be in America. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm just assuming he's going to be with America. And if so, he is going to be in the East and he will be a starter. If he's world, he will not be a starter, but he will definitely be a reserve. Actually, I don't know, because it's the fan vote, then he would maybe be a starter even if he's for world because he's a Knick. But I don't know. And then Cade Cunningham, I think he will probably be better than one or both of Jalen Brunson and Donovan Mitchell, but it's fan vote, and he's a Piston and just younger guy, not as well known. But he will definitely make the All-Star team. He's going to average damn near a triple-double, and he's going to be very good. Trae Young, I think the Hawks are going to be good. Even though he doesn't usually get picked by his peers, I think because the Hawks are good enough, he will be a more efficient player. They'll be good, and he will make the team. Scotty Barnes, just a young guy who I think is getting better and is going to make the team as long as he's healthy. I think last year maybe he made the team and was hurt, so couldn't be on it, something like that. This year he'll make it as long as he's not injured. West, Steph Curry, obvious. Anthony Edwards, obvious. LeBron, pretty obvious as long as he's playing games. I know he's not to start the season, but as long as he comes back in a fairly timely manner, he'll play enough games, he'll be good enough, and he'll get votes. I mean, it's LeBron. I mean, here's the thing is, like, even if he misses the first 2 or 3 weeks of play, he'll just get votes. Like, he's just going to get votes. He's LeBron. And I always forget with these that it's fan vote. So Kevin Durant, kind of same thing. Houston's going to be great. Fan vote. He'll be in there. Anthony Davis, fan vote. Mavs won't be that good, but I think he will carry them so much that he'll be good enough to make it. And fans, again. Devin Booker, again, this is picked by peers. He's just going to be that good. The Suns aren't going to have anybody else. He's going to average 30 points a game, at least 30 points a game from Devin Booker next year. Count on it for sure. Zion, we got skinny Zion. I think he's going to make it as long as he, plays a lot at the beginning of the season. I have less hope he will towards the end, but I think he can be healthy enough to play enough games and make that All-Star game. But he might be one of the guys we talk about that needs an injury replacement. I think that's probably pretty likely. And then Chet, the Thunder are going to be, 1 or 2, maybe a 3 seed at worst. They're going to be awesome. He's going to be great. Jalen Williams isn't playing to start the season, so he's going to be carrying a little bit of a heavier load. Not much, but enough to be like he might overshadow Jay Will in the voting and things like that from, I can't remember if it's coaches or whoever chooses the reserves, but he'll make it, I think. And then world, I think, these are the top 5 guys in the world. They're going to make it. Shea, defending MVP. Luka, a lot of people think he might be the next MVP. Giannis, 2-time MVP. Vic, he could be the future MVP as well. And Jokic, they're going to be amazing. Who knows how much they're going to care. I think Giannis will. I think Shea will. And I don't know. Jokic might have fun playing with Luka, and so put a little more heart into it, but it's not really his thing. Luka tries, but I know it's not as much his thing, even though he does try a little more than Jokic. But maybe with this world team getting together, they'll feel a little more motivated. Who knows? And then I don't know if any of you guys watched Eurobasket, but I did. And Franz Wagner was very good, I thought, in Eurobasket. And I just think he's kind of, taking that next step. He's a young guy. Same thing with Alperen Şengün, but in Eurobasket, he was incredible. A lot of people felt like he outplayed Jokic. He honestly probably did in their matchups. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near being better than Jokic this season, but I think he's going to shock a lot of people with how good he is for Houston. I think a lot of people are like, oh, KD, he's going to be that guy for them. I think people don't realize Şengün is as good as he is, and I think he's going to become a household name in the next couple of years. And then Sabonis, I don't think the Kings are going to be very good, but He's just awesome. He's like a Jokic light. There's a good chance he makes the team. And then, injury replacements. Ja is a guy who could easily make the team even without an injury replacement in the West. Is it going to be over Zion? Is it going to be over Chet? These top 5 guys are probably, as long as they don't get injured, are probably pretty guaranteed. If he makes it, it's over Zion or over Chet, or if Devin Booker gets injured. Jalen Williams, kind of same deal. Somebody's got to get injured or he's got to come back, and the Thunder got to be the 1 seed. It's just going to be tougher for these American guys to make the team, but that's kind of how they want the format to be. We'll see how it works. Maxey, I think he's going to be great. He could easily make the team as well. But who are we talking about him making the team over? Is it Jalen Brunson? I don't think so. Is it Donovan Mitchell? I don't think so. Is it Cade Cunningham? I don't think so. It could be Trae Young. Who knows? Maybe Trae is still pretty inefficient. Maybe the Hawks aren't as good as I think they're going to be. And maybe Philly stays healthy and Maxey can make that team. And then Bam, another possible injury replacement. I think he has been in the past, maybe once, maybe twice. I can't remember. But we'll see. I don't really see him replacing anyone unless there's injuries, but he would be probably my next pick. And then for international guys, Siakam, pretty obvious. Without Halliburton, he's going to have to carry a heavy load offensively. That could go one way or another, where it's because he's doesn't have his facilitator, he's not scoring as much, or it could be he gets the ball in his hands a lot and he's scoring a lot, and the Pacers aren't quite that bad, and he's able to I don't think he's replacing anyone without an injury, but if there's an injury, I could see him taking a spot. And then Jamal, he just has looked really strong in the preseason. He's looked strong all summer. This could be the first season where he comes on strong from the start of the season to the end, and if he's that good, it's just tough because the world guys are so good. An injury here or there, guys start slow. He could easily make it. All right, and then moving on to a pretty similar category, all NBA selections. These are all going to be similar names. First team, we have Shea, then we have Luka, then we have Giannis, then we have Vic, then we have Jokic. Same team as the world starters. Pretty easy to say why. I think I've already kind of predicted it. I think the one guy that you would be surprised not to see, I guess, is Embiid. I just don't think he's going to play enough games. If anyone would be replaced, it would probably be Wemby by Şengün, just because I think Şengün is going to be awesome. I think Şengün's going to be so good. I think Şengün's going to be so good. And then going to second team, pretty easy to predict as well. Jalen Brunson's probably everyone's pick to be a guard for the second team. Anthony Edwards, same deal. Cade Cunningham, probably most people have on the third team, but because it's positionless, I think he's going to be that good, and we'll make that second team. Jaylen Brown, I think he's just going to be phenomenal. Celtics, not so much, but I think he's going to be good enough to still get himself on a team. Şengün, like I said, if he doesn't make a team, I'll be very surprised. He'll at least be second, if not first somehow. If someone like Wemby is hurt or someone else, who knows. And then third team, Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Paolo Banchero, Karl-Anthony Towns. I think Steph's got it in him a little bit. He's not going to carry the team, but he's going to be good enough to make a third team, make an all-star, all that. Donovan Mitchell, the Cavs are going to be awesome. I could easily see him make his way up onto that second team in place of someone like Cade, or even, Anthony Edwards if, he's not that good this season, but I doubt it. But I think it would be over someone like Cade or someone like Jalen. Devin Booker, same deal, kind of same range as Donovan Mitchell, but I just think because the Suns are not going to be as good, it's less likely. And then Paolo, again, Magic are going to be great, but I just don't think he's going to have the numbers to be first or second team. Karl-Anthony Towns, I think he's going to have the numbers to be good enough to be second team, could easily replace someone. Even Şengün, if somehow he's not as good as I'm predicting. But I think people just see him as not the leader because Brunson's easily the leader of the Knicks. So I just couldn't see him ever being above Brunson. So if Brunson's third team, Cat's definitely third team, we're not making a team. If Brunson's second team, Towns is best, could be second team, but I still think he'd probably be third in that case. Moving on to the all defensive teams, Dyson Daniels, he's amazing. Shoo-in. Amen Thompson, everybody's pick for most improved player. I think he's going to be awesome. Dort, self-explanatory. OKC is going to be one of the best defenses in the league again. They were the best, I think, like of all time last year. Toumani Camara, a lot of people are going to know his name next year. I think he was second team last year. He's just awesome on defense. He's going to get a lot of blocks. Vic, going to get even more blocks. He's going to be Defensive Player of the Year. As spoiler alert for where we're going to go later. And then moving on to the second team, Jalen Suggs is going to return to the honors. He's just awesome. The Magic are going to be good enough. He's going to play enough games. Derek White is going to be great. He's going to have to carry a heavier load, both offensively and defensively. I think the one way he could stay off is if he has to do too much offensively and isn't able to focus on his defense. But I think he'll be able to. I think he's that good of a player. He's going to be great. Anthony Edwards, I don't know if he's made a team before. I think not, and I think he's going to make his first team. I think the Wolves are going to be great on defense. I think they're going to have a top 3 defense in the league. I think they're really going to figure out their sets. I think they're still going to struggle a little bit offensively, but that's another conversation. Then we have Evan Mobley. He's going to be awesome. And then the one pick I'm a little bit questioning is Rudy Gobert. I'm just not sure. I think, can I do this live? Can I? Yeah, I'm live gonna switch this up here. I'm going to, and I think you can already guess what I'm going to do if you can see what I'm doing. And no, I'm not replacing him with Ace Bailey. I am making an audible, not to Walker Bailey, not to Kessler Edwards, but to Walker Kessler. Yeah, I'm changing it. Rudy Gobert is the old guard. The old guard is dead. Walker Kessler, even though the Jazz are going to stink, he's going to get that second team nod. He might have last year. I'm not sure. Maybe this isn't a hot take. I don't know. But I think he's going to get it this year. We'll see. Moving on to the rookie teams, you guys have probably already been staring at him. Dylan Harper, he's going to be back. He's going to be great. He's going to play backup, but he'll still get enough minutes to keep De'Aaron Fox from playing too much. Khan is going to be a huge part, or Cone, or what is his name? I don't know. He's going to be a huge part of the Charlotte offense. He's going to be good. He's going to be good. We'll see, how good, but I think he's going to be very solid. And then moving on, VJ, I love what I've seen from this guy. I think he's going to be really, really solid, especially if we see guys like Paul George miss time. He's going to have to pick up a load, and I think he'll rise to the occasion. And then we have Cooper Flagg, self-explanatory. He's obviously going to do it. Then we got Ace Bailey. Just copied him over so I could get Walker Kessler. He's going to be awesome. He's, got a lot of controversy with his attitude, but I think that's going to pass over pretty easily. Even if his attitude continues to come up, it's not going to matter. He's going to be so good. He'll be more of a personality like an Anthony Edwards or something like that. I don't think it's going to be a big thing that people are worried about other than the Jason Whitlocks of the world. And then moving on, we have Clifford. He's going to be awesome. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. Ball knowers, like guys who pay attention, they're all all over him, maybe even overrating him. But the general public who just sees the top guys in the draft have no idea who this guy is, and they're gonna be like, who is this guy on the Kings that is so freaking good? He's gonna be an awesome new guard in the league. I'm excited to watch him. He's gonna be fun. Jeremiah Fears, I think he's just gonna have to be good, and I think he's gonna be throwing a lot of lobs to Zion this year. He'll make that second team. Jaku Sionis, whatever you say, Kasparas, Jaku Sionis. I think he's gonna be great. He's gonna be in that SPO system. I think it's hard not to make a team when you're in that SPO system. Pretty self-explanatory there. All right, and then I had to look up his name because I didn't want to say it wrong. Hopefully I don't say it wrong still, but if I do, I apologize. Kaman Malawach, he's looked really, really good in the preseason. I didn't really pay attention to Summer League that much, or honestly preseason because of the baby. But from what I've seen, he's looked awesome. I just think he's going to be great. It's kind of we're getting into the point where I'm not as knowledgeable about these dudes on the second team, but I think he's going to be awesome. Derek Queen, sticking with NOLA, I think they, went hard to kind of get guys in this draft that are going to be immediately impactful. He just had a surgery, I think, and has been cleared, I think, a day or two ago. So he's ready to go. I think they're going to be, a solid team, probably better than a lot of people think they are. And I think Queen will be part of that. On to the awards. Jokic, MVP. I think a lot of people realized last year they made a mistake and they're just kind of going to give it to him like they did after the year they accidentally gave it to Embiid. So I think that happens. Şengün's my dark horse. I doubt it, but dark horse, I kind of go for a guy that's not in the top 10 or even usually try to stay out of the top 15 of Vegas odds of who's going to win these awards. So Şengün, I am picking as my dark horse. I think he's going to just be incredible this year. And then we have Wemby for Defensive Player of the Year. I think that's a shoe-in. Everybody has him as their pick. And if he gets hurt, I think a guy like Walker Kessler, maybe the Jazz aren't quite as bad as we expect. I think he could take that spot again. Kind of somebody who I think maybe not quite as low on the Vegas odds, but still I think he's like bottom 10 or 15. But moving on, Cooper Flagg, Rookie of the Year, everybody's pick, pretty easy to explain. And then Clifford, again, I explained to you guys earlier, I think he's going to be awesome. I don't know, because they do have quite a few guards on the Kings. I don't know how much time he'll get, but if there's some injuries, I could easily see him getting enough time and usage to put up the stats needed to win the Rookie of the Year. Say Flagg gets hurt and some other guys don't pan out, whatever. I think he's a good dark horse pick. Then Şengün, I've glazed him enough. He's my most improved player pick. He was incredible in Eurobasket, and I just think he's going to be awesome for the Rockets this year. And then Cam Johnson is my dark horse. I just think Jokic is going to unlock so many different amazing aspects of his game. They're really going to be in sync, and he's going to hit a lot of freaking threes this year. I could see him averaging 24, 25 points a game. I'm not predicting that, but I could see it happening, and if that's the case, he's going to be in that conversation for most improved player. Moving on, we have Sixth Man of the Year. I think Jordan Clarkson is going to be great for the Knicks. I think, I don't love him as a playoff player, but I do think in the regular season, he's going to be great at being able to keep the minutes down or at least lower for Brunson. And I think that's going to be given huge value. He'll win that Sixth Man of the Year. And then Valanciunas, dark horse. I don't hear anybody talking about him as a Sixth Man of the Year candidate. I just think he's, one of the top probably 25 centers in the league, and he's playing as a backup. I think that's pretty valuable. If Jokic sits more games this year, if we get a lot of minutes with him, doing the double big lineup, playing with Jokic, which I don't know if I like that, but, Edelman's saying that they're going to try it. We'll see. He could be a great dark horse pick at the Sixth Man of the Year. But I think it's funny, the Nuggets have a couple guys. OKC has a couple guys. The Knicks have a couple guys. Even, Josh Hart, who knows? I think he's starting, off the bench, but he might end up starting later in the season, so I didn't want to pick him. And then Clutch Player of the Year, we have Luka. Who knows who that's going to be? Luka, hits shots. People like him late in the game. Trae Young, another guy like that, could just hit a lot of, clutch late shots, and I think Atlanta's going to win some games, so we'll see. And then Coach of the Year, David Adelman. The Nuggets are going to be the 1 seed, and I think if they're the 1 seed as a new coach, you deserve Coach of the Year. I think it's pretty simple. And then Mitch Johnson with the Spurs. I don't really know much about the guy, but I think the Spurs are going to exceed expectations quite a bit as long as he's halfway competent, and if he is, then awesome. The Spurs will be good. Moving on, let's talk about the playoffs. We have the Knicks beating the Celtics in 7 games. The Celtics, I had them not as... Well, let's go back. Where did I have them? And the Celtics is a 9 seed. So I think the Sixers are going to lose their play-in game to the Heat, which would make the Heat the 7 seed. And then I think they're going to play the Celtics, who beat the Hornets, because Tatum will be back. And then I think the Sixers are going to lose to the Celtics because Tatum will be back. And I think there might be injuries there, and I just think they're not going to be good enough. And so moving on, I think we have the Celtics playing the Knicks, and I think that's going to be a really tough series for the Knicks. But at the end of the day, I think because Tatum will be freshly coming back, they're not going to be totally oriented yet or feeling their new look team. I just think the Knicks are going to be able to pull it out at home, MSG. I think they got it. Cavs, Heat, I would love to say, I would love to say the Heat could pull this off, but I don't think so. They don't have Jimmy Buckets anymore. I could see them getting one extra game, but that would be about it. Magic, I think they're going to lose this one to the Bucks, even though I have the Bucks losing some more games in the regular season. I just don't think the Magic are quite experienced enough yet. I don't believe they've won a playoff series yet. The Bucks, they have Giannis, and I'm going to go with Giannis every time, as long as he's healthy and he has a decent enough team, and they're playing a team like the Magic with just not enough experience. I'm going with the Bucks. And then Pistons, Hawks, I'm going to give it to the Pistons. I just think Cade's that good. I love Trey, but I think Cade's better than anybody on the Hawks, even Jalen Johnson. So that's where I'm going there. And then semifinals, I think Cade's going to give the Knicks another hell of a series, but the Knicks will end up pulling it out. And then Cavs will just breeze by the Bucks. I just don't think the Bucks are that good. Even though they have Giannis, Cavs are just so deep. They're so well coached. That's what's going to be a story. And then I think the Knicks, because they got the beat out of them in the first two series, they're just going to be too tired to take on the Cavs, who kind of breezed past those first two series. I could see the Cavs dropping that first game or second game because they're not ready for the intensity of those first two games, and they're not at home. But after that, I think they're just kind of breeze through. The Knicks are going to be too tired at that point, and the Cavs will be rested enough to move on to the finals. And then finally, we will get to the West. I have the Nuggets beating the Warriors in 5 games. I think it's going to be a pretty easy series for them. I just don't think the Warriors are that good. Go back up to the standings. What was my pick? Okay, yeah. So I have the Lakers beating the Warriors in the first round of the play-in, moving on and getting that 7 seed. And then I have the Warriors beating the Grizzlies, who had beaten the Pelicans in that first game, and securing that 8 seed. So we have the Warriors losing in those 5 games. I just don't think they're good enough, but I think even though I think their experience gets them through that play-in. The Thunder, I think, makes pretty light work of the Lakers. I think Luka can get you 2 wins against pretty much any team in the playoffs, but I think that's about as far as it'll go. Clippers are going to be really strong, but I think they're going to struggle with health. They might not be as well matched up against a team like the Wolves as they would against a team like the Lakers or even the Nuggets or even maybe the Thunder. I just think the Wolves, it's hard to match up with their 2 bigs. I just think they have the best front court defensively in the league, probably. And then moving on, we have the Rockets versus the Spurs. I think it's going to be a really good series. I think Wemby's going to keep the Spurs in it the whole time. I think De'Aaron Fox is going to be really clutch and maybe get them a win or 2. And I could see it really honestly going either way, but I think the Rockets will end up pulling it out in 7. That's a couple good series right there in that round. And then you have the Nuggets taking on the Rockets in the semifinals. The 6-game series is going to be pretty light, pretty easy. I just don't think the Rockets will have the firepower offensively. If you can take Kevin Durant out of the game, then you just got to say, Şengün, do your thing. And I think he'll do well on Jokic, but I just don't think you have enough options there. The Nuggets have so many different options that they can go to. They're so deep. And not to say that the Rockets aren't deep, but I think they're deeper defensively, which could, prove an issue for the Nuggets. I think the Nuggets are decent defensively too, honestly. Underrated defensively, especially how they will be in the playoffs. And I just don't think the Rockets are going to pose too much of a problem. And then moving on, we have the Thunder versus Minnesota. I think it's going to be a great series. Anthony Edwards will really go hard. But at the end of the day, the Thunder are just too good. As much as I like to talk my crap, Shea's amazing. Chet's amazing. He'll probably be back at that point. Sorry, I've been assuming that he's just going to get hurt late in the season. It's just in my head. I don't know why. The Thunder are going to be good, and they're going to, make the conference finals pretty easily, even though it's 7 games. I think that 7th game will be a breeze, and I think it'll feel like a 6-game series. We'll get to the conference finals. This is going to be the opposite. It'll be a 6-game series that feels like 7. The Nuggets are going to take down the Thunder 4-2, 6-game series. I think it's going to be exciting. I think the rivalry will be born here. I think last year, 7-game series, a lot of people are like, oh, wouldn't it be born there? No, I think, you have one series where it's 7 games and it's tough. It's like, oh, that was a tough series. That's a tough team. We want to go beat them. But you have 2 tough series, and the second one is in the conference finals. and one of the teams won the championship the prior year. I think that's where a rivalry begins, and I think that will happen in the conference finals, whichever way it goes. Even if the Thunder win, it'll be a one-sided rivalry. But I'm taking the Nuggets in 6. I just think they're deep enough now. They took the Thunder 7 last year. I just think they're so much better now, and I think the Thunder might have a little bit of championship hangover. So I'm taking the Nuggets in 6. It'll feel like 7. It'll be a tough series. The Thunder are amazing. But moving on, we have the finals. We have the Cavs. We have the Nuggets. We have the Nuggets winning in 6 games. I don't think the Cavs are actually that good. I don't think the East is that good. I think the real finals was probably Nuggets versus Thunder, kind of like it was last year. And that's the result. Jokic finals MVP, pretty easy to predict. That's how it'll end. There's a lot you can say about the Thunder. I think a lot you can say about the Cavs. I think if the Knicks get a better shake than I'm predicting in the playoffs, they could end up playing the Nuggets. And I think they give the Nuggets actually more trouble than the Cavs would. That probably is a series that goes to 7, but who knows? I think those are the teams, though. I think you talk about the Nuggets, you talk about the Thunder, you talk about the Cavs, you talk about the Knicks. Those are the teams that I think are most likely to win the championship. Do I think a team like Houston is maybe better than a team like maybe Cleveland or New York? Yeah, maybe, but they just aren't as likely to make the finals. So I think you got to take that into consideration. I think the West is just so strong. The West is awesome. But yeah, those are my preseason predictions. I appreciate you guys for checking this out. I'm going to do my week predictions now, but that's going to be a separate video. Let me know if there's any other NBA content you want me to do. I really want to lock in on doing more NBA content this year. I love it. I love the NBA. I love the Nuggets. I love Jokic. I love everything I can say about this stuff. So give me reasons to make more videos. Please watch. Please like. Please comment. Please subscribe. Please share with everyone. Hit the bell. Hit all the things you need to do well on YouTube as a creator. Help me out. Thank you very much. Let me know what you guys think. What are your predictions? Who's going to win the championship? I appreciate you guys for sticking around. See ya.